All right, so this isn't going to be a story about some secret winning strategy. Actually, it's the exact opposite. We're about to walk through a trader's real, unfiltered breakdown of a pretty catastrophic loss. This is a deep dive into the psychology of why we make terrible decisions when the pressure is on and real money is on the line. This right here, this is the big conclusion our trader came to after everything was said and done. But how on earth did they get to this point? This one sentence is the destination of a really painful journey. So let's rewind the tape and see exactly what went wrong, and more importantly, why it went wrong.
You know, it's funny. Almost every disaster story starts with a really solid plan. And before all the chaos, our trader had exactly that, a clear, logical strategy designed for one thing, to take emotion completely out of the equation and just let the system do its job.
And the plan itself was beautifully simple. It was really built on just two core rules. First, the moving averages, which basically tell you the trend had to be pointing in the right direction. Simple enough. And second, the market's volatility, or what's called the unwind rate, had to be in a calm, consolidating phase. Now, these weren't just suggestions. This was the entire system, objective, clear, and totally mechanical. But, of course, a plan is only as strong as the person following it, right? The breakdown didn't happen all at once. Nope. It all started with one single decision, a decision to completely ignore the plan. So what happened? Well, the oldest trap in the book, FOMO, the fear of missing out. After watching what felt like easy profits slipping away day after day, this little voice started getting louder and louder in their head. I'm behind. I need to catch up. I'm missing the big move. That emotional pressure led to a catastrophic decision: to ditch the plan and gamble on huge amounts of super risky, out-of-the-money options. You can think of those like cheap lottery tickets that only pay off if the market makes a huge, unlikely move. And you can just see the battle happening in their head right here. The rational plan was just completely steamrolled by emotional bias. Follow the signals turned into, I am missing the trend. Manage the trade objectively became, I have to go big to catch up. And maybe the most important rule of all, exit based on clear signals, became this stubborn refusal. I will hold on no matter what. And here's the really cruel twist. The bad decision, it worked for a minute. The trade, based on pure emotion and a broken plan, briefly popped into a 6,000 rupee profit. This is so dangerous because it rewards a terrible process. It makes your brain think, see, I knew it. My gut was right. And that makes it almost impossible to get out when things inevitably turn against you. That small taste of profit, that was the bait. Once it vanished and the trade went negative, the trader just couldn't let go. And they didn't just stick with one bad decision, they started to compound it. And that's when a single mistake began to snowball into a full-blown avalanche of errors. So get this. This is how the error started to multiply. Instead of just closing that one losing trade, they opened a second account, and then a third, and then a fourth. Soon, they were trying to juggle 4 different accounts all at once, based on this completely flawed logic that a big new win could somehow cancel out the original mistake they just refused to accept. At this point, the original plan was a distant memory. The trader wasn't trading what they saw anymore. They were trading what they hoped to see. They were expecting a big trending day. They were running on the hope that one massive win in one of the new accounts would magically wipe out all the other losses. This wasn't reacting to the market anymore. This was betting on a prediction fueled by pure hope. Okay, so we've seen the traders' desperate hope. They needed a powerful trending day for this gamble to have any chance of paying off. But what was the cold, hard reality of the market that day? And this is the moment of impact. This is the point where a trader's desperate hope collides head-on with the unforgiving reality of the market. And, as you're about to see, the two couldn't have been more different. There it is. The market was doing the exact opposite of what the trader needed. It wasn't trending up. It wasn't trending down. It was just stuck, chopping sideways in a tight range. And for a strategy that relied on those lottery ticket options, well, that's a death sentence. And the result of all this? Well, because that big move the trader was betting on never happened, all of those risky out-of-the-money options they'd piled into simply expired, worthless. The final value was 0, a total loss, all stemming from one broken rule. In the trader's own words from their postmortem, you can see the total operational collapse. By trying to desperately juggle 4 accounts, they lost all focus. They couldn't manage any of them properly. And they even missed other real opportunities at the end of the day because their attention was completely fractured.
Okay, but here's where the story really turns. A loss is only a total failure if you learn absolutely nothing from it. So now we get to the most important part, the lessons that were forged in the fire of this mistake. This is the kind of discipline that can only come from defeat.
So the primary mistake was finally nailed down. It wasn't just about holding a losing trade. It was about trading based on expectation instead of reaction. It was betting on a future that only existed in their head, instead of responding to the reality right there on the screen. And from the ashes of that mistake, a new, unbreakable rule was created. A super simple 3-step system for exiting a trade. You have a trigger, a confirmation, and then the action. But check out that final line. Failure to exit is a failure of emotional control. This is huge. The trader has completely reframed the problem. It's not about the market being wrong. It's about a personal failure of discipline.
And this really brings us to the ultimate lesson of this whole thing. Being a good trader has very little to do with being right all the time. It has everything to do with having the humility to accept when you are wrong, and to do it quickly before a small mistake turns into a catastrophe. It's about protecting your capital, not your ego. So as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with this question. And this applies to anything. Trading, business, your life. We all set rules for ourselves. But what's your line in the sand? What is that one principle that if you break it, you know you've let emotion beat discipline? Thinking about that, well, that might be the most valuable takeaway of all.